Hi everyone, from me, Brent Graham of goodforthegame.co.za. Welcome to this Stage 18 preview of the Tour de France. Before we get into that, let's have a look what happened on Stage 17, where we were treated to another absolutely brilliant stage. It was simply a brutal one. It was the Queen stage, and the man who rode away with the victory was AG2R's Felix Gall. He got himself into the break, and he had teammates there to work for him. Great work in particular from O'Connor. He managed to break away on the final climb, and then on the descent, where he's also been known to be a bit suspect, he managed to hold the gap very nicely against Simon Yates, and then pulling away to win by 34 seconds. Balboa had an excellent stage, finishing 138 back. And Jonas Vingegaard, of course, the big story of the day, no doubt about it, it was the fact that he wrapped up the Tour de France, putting over 5 minutes into Pogacar, who was absolutely broken. They're the words we heard on the radio. I'm gone, I'm dead. And he most certainly was. And yeah, I'm in South Africa. Our power's just come back on and my TV came on, so apologies if you heard that. But yeah, those are words that certainly I could be saying after this Tour de France as well, because it's been an absolutely brutal Tour de France for me. Loved every minute. But financially, I can tell you, I just haven't been able to hit any of the long shots that I've gone for. I had a couple of favourite wins, but wow, it's been brutal. But back to Pogacar, though. Yeah, I really felt for him when he was going backwards. Also said to Adam Yates, you go for your podium. He wasn't going to let him drop back. He could tell he was absolutely gone. And it was very sad to see him like that. But somehow you just admire the man even more when you see the way he handles the situation. Look, I'm a big Pogacar fanboy, so no doubt about that one. But well done to Vingegaard. He is top class. He really is brutal on these long, hard stages as well. And perhaps that Pogacar fading out does put Vingegaard's ride into a bit more perspective yesterday. Pogacar probably didn't have the legs we maybe thought he did. And although it was a brilliant ride, no doubt about it, by Vingegaard, it perhaps wasn't as superhuman as we thought. Anyway, that was the story of today's stage. And what that means from a betting perspective is that the yellow jersey is now 1 to 100. There's no point betting on that. We've got the green jersey at 1 to 50. And the only classification that we sort of still got alive at this point is, don't allow. The only thing we've got going at this point really here is the King of the Mountains. I'm looking at the betting here on World Sports Betting. We've got Ciccone, who is the leader by a few points from Gall at the moment at 11 to 20, and Vingegaard and Gall there at 7 to 2. Now, Gall, as I say, 22 to 1 before the stage started. This one could still go down to the wire. A lot is going to depend on a Saturday stage. And I certainly think that Gall himself must have a chance now of taking that jersey. Ciccone, I think when he realized today he couldn't compete on the final climb, he just dropped right off. The team competition is also looking pretty much with Jumbo-Visma now. Not good news for me as I'm on Ineos. Ineos battling at the moment. They're 7 to 1, Jumbo-Visma 1 to 5. Right, let's get into stage 18. Quite unusual in the Tour de France to have such a flat stage here. It's 184.9 kilometers. And you'll see very, very flat. We've got one Cat 4 climb, 1.6 Ks at 4.1%. And another one here, 2.4 at 4.7. I mean, the terrain itself looks fairly rolling terrain. But, you know, if this stage was taking place on day 1, 2, or 3 or whatever of the Tour de France, it would be nailed on for a sprint finish. But at this stage in week 3, things are a little bit different. And the reason for that is, first of all, we've got some incredibly tired legs after today. It was a brute of a stage. And frankly, I think it's been a brute of the Tour de France, with the odd exception. I think the way they've spread these stages has just left very little room for riders to recover. And I think so we got a lot of tired legs. And then the other thing, of course, is a lot of the sprinter teams have actually lost their sprinters. We saw Bauhaus bowing out today for Bahrain, so they won't be holding it together for a sprint finish. And, of course, Caleb Ewan's gone. Jakobsen from Quickstep is gone. And that means there's going to be a lot more riders looking to get into the break. There's no doubt about it in my mind. If it comes down to a sprint finish, then Philipsen, clearly the man to beat. We'll have a look at the betting now. But will it be a sprint finish or not? I'd rate it kind of a 50-50 chance. I'm not convinced because, I can see the likes of Wout van Aert try to get into the break. And you might even find then Van der Poel, who, of course, is Philipsen's teammate and lead-out man, might go in. And it might just be a case of Philipsen saying today to his teammate, you go out and fight for the stage. Because one thing for sure, if a strongish break goes clear, it's going to take a lot of work for a team like Alpecin to keep things together, and they may just rather have someone in the break. Going to be very interesting. You've also got teams like Quickstep, who used to have Jakobsen that they'd work for. We've got a lot of riders who are possibly capable of winning from a break. So I think there's going to be a lot of interest in this break. It could be quite a frantic start. There's certainly going to be certain teams trying to keep it together. Trek, yeah, I think they're going to try to get someone in the break, and if they fail, then they'll probably try to keep it together. But I don't think the sprint is nailed on here. You'll see I'm sort of betting accordingly on that one. Let's have a look at the prices. I'll just go back up to the top here. We've got Jasper Philipsen, even money. Now, if you are going to back Philipsen, World Sports Betting is the place to do it because they got that money back for second. And if it does come down to a sprint finish, I can't look past him. If he is beaten in a sprint, I see him coming second, so you'll get your money back. I seriously considered that, but I've decided I'm going to be looking at the breakaway. But looking at the rest of the betting, we've got 11 to 2 on Dylan Groenewegen and Wout van Aert 6 to 1. Now, Wout, I think, can actually win from the break as well. So you could potentially, if you back him, have 2 chances and we go down. And in fact, let's just go through my bets now. And my first bet I'm going 1 unit on Van Aert. I actually think he might get into the break. And if he doesn't get into the break, then certainly there is a chance if it comes back to a sprint finish. I think it's quite going to be kind of for the guys who are looking to get into the break. I think they want Van Aert with them because you don't want Jumbo-Visma working for the sprint finish. But at the same time, you don't want Van Aert there because if you go to the end with him, he's going to be very, very strong. But I think we're going to get a strong break. I think the sprinters teams are going to give up at some point, and we're going to get the break fighting it out for the win. And that doesn't mean that means we could have a small sprint finish, but we could also have someone riding away solo in the stage and winning it by a bit. Well, let's have a look at the other guys that I'm putting in the staking plan there. I'm looking at Quick Step, Asgreen at 66 to 1. He's been looking pretty good to me over the last few days, and I think he could be a big runner if he gets into the break. He's also capable. He's got a reasonable sprint on him. He's not brilliant in a sprint finish. If he was up against Van Aert, for example, you'd back Van Aert, but you never know at this stage of the tour. He certainly will be one of the quicker guys in a breakaway. 66 to 1. I'm then going a quarter unit on Bettiol, who's been trying to get into breaks so often. He's got into a few breaks. He hasn't really succeeded in delivering. And this is the sort of stage, perhaps there might be more of a chance for him on Friday, but I think he might just put his hat in the ring and go for the stage. He's well capable of finishing in a sprint as well, in a small select sprint, that is. Right, and then I'm going for a few more big prices here. I'm going Aramburu at 250 to 1. I've been very impressed with the way that he's climbing. He's also got a nice sprint finish, has tried to get into a few breaks. Will the stage shoot him as well as perhaps Friday stage? I'm not too sure, but I'm gonna stick a quarter unit on him. Can't do too much more damage there on Aramburu. And then Lampard, also, of course, the teammate of Asgreen there, and Alaphilippe, who I haven't included in the staking plan. I do see them trying to load the breakaway. And Lampard is another one who hasn't featured very much in this Tour de France, but he could just go in at 200 to 1. And then I've got another bet. Let me go to Sunbet now to show you this one. This is the winning margin. And I'm going, you could see less than 1 second is very, very short at 1 to 18, and you've got 6 to 1, 1 second or more. So because I'm betting on the breakaway, and I think there could be a chance that someone comes lonely to the line, alternatively, a small group of 3 or 4 riders, even where someone manages to sprint clear. I'm taking a play here that we get a margin of 1 second or more at 6 to 1. Obviously, if this comes down to sprint finish, this bet is dead in the water. Anyway, that is the Stage 18 preview. We're getting through to the weekend. We're near the end of the tour now. Let's hope we can get a couple of winners on the run in. I'm absolutely exhausted and almost can't wait for Paris at this stage, although certainly going to enjoy the next few stages. Let's hope, if you're betting on this one, that you have a couple of wins, and we'll see you tomorrow for Stage 19.